Hey guys, it's your boy Arj back again with another Dragon Ball Super spoiler and news video, and we have breaking news. News that I've actually for a long while now, as you guys who follow the channel would know about, have been saying, but it's finally out in spoken word straight from one of the animators' mouth. Gogeta Blue is finally here and confirmed in the new Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. Before we get into this though, make sure to leave your comments down below about what you think. Did you see this coming from all the previous evidence, or were you skeptical? And how are you even feeling about seeing Gogeta for the first time in literal decades? Let me know down below, but don't forget to smash that subscribe button if you're new here to enter our new Xbox One X giveaway, all sponsored by Bandai Namco. One click and you're in, so get that done now. Okay, so here we are boys, Therese27's Twitter, and you already know how trustworthy and on it this guy is with his DB news and updates to the Dragon Ball YouTubers. He's on Herm's level, so follow him if you'd like, but here is where everything has been confirmed and set in stone. Yoshihiko Umakoshi, who is confirmed and already working on the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, has said on a live broadcast on Nico that he's working on and practicing Gogeta. This is not no ordinary animator, this is a dude known for his work on One Piece movies and other AAA anime, who of course has been roped into the biggest anime movie release of the year, and he has now told everyone what he is working on, and that is Gogeta. Now completely removing any doubt whatsoever about his appearance. After decades and decades of waiting for that epic theme of Gogeta, it's finally coming back. Therese notes how that he only really found this out after searching in Japan whether there was interest in Gogeta appearing, and uncovered this broadcast, which was mysteriously removed from the internet, but another user known as Sailor Spaz, great name by the way, was able to find it and have this quote confirmed, as she personally translated it for us. And she is no unknown nobody either in this whole Dragon Ball world, as she was the official interpreter of Kamehameha and is currently in Japan, so she is legit and known by many of us. So guys, that is it, case closed. You guys know how many times I've spoken about Gogeta now, talking about it like it's fact, because I just knew this was the case given all the evidence. From the reveal of Fusion Reborn being remastered, to the leaked data mine of Xenoverse 2 of Gogeta Blue, to the fact both Bardock and Broly are in the new film, 2 out of 3 of Japan's official and most requested characters for Dragon Ball FighterZ, the third being Gogeta, then all of the new Gogeta toys that have been released alongside toys of Super Saiyan God Vegeta and Super Saiyan God Goku, and now finally the actual animators themselves revealing it, probably by accident, what exact characters they are working on, and thus confirming Gogeta. It's a done deal and I'm hyped, but you guys do let me know what you think. Do you still have any doubts, or are you as confident as me? Let me know, as I will be replying, but things don't end here. Now that we know Gogeta is real, you can definitely enjoy one of my past Gogeta theory vids in full now, given it's no longer just theory and it's one step closer to being a full reality. Enjoy this video on how Gogeta will push Broly to the limit, because I promise you, you will see this in a whole new light this time. But now it's time to talk about why, even though Gogeta will appear, he's gonna lose. In fact, his first loss in history, as he bodied Janemba and Omega Shenron, and I say this as Broly has proven himself beyond Goku and Vegeta on so many levels. This guy is only in his yellow-eyed form when fighting one-on-one with Goku at Super Saiyan Blue level, as we saw from the new fight footage I released recently. He literally has Goku all injured and his outfit torn up while going toe to toe, and he hasn't even transformed into a Super Saiyan. And no, I don't mean legendary Super Saiyan, I'm just talking about his Berserk Super Saiyan form, which at a minimum is a 50 times multiplier. Probably higher, but according to canon lore, the minimum multiplier for a Super Saiyan is 50. Now, that for 100% would destroy Goku and Vegeta in Blue together. Worse than Jiren would have, because 2 Super Saiyan Blues just can't stack up to a guy on the level of a Blue who randomly multiplies his power by 50. Fact, there's even official artwork from Toyotaro of Goku and Vegeta Blue struggling against the Super Saiyan Broly, so there's that. Now, the multiplier when two Saiyans fuse, however, is unknown. Clearly it brings about a huge change, as we've seen against Merge Zamasu and Buu, but those were with Vegeta. Yes, Gogeta also has a big change, in fact a more epic change usually, but it's canon lore that Fusion Dance is a weaker fusion than Potara and results in a weaker warrior. That's fact, and it's also fact due to this weaker fusion, superpower transformations in this fused form will cause the time limit to run out way faster. And considering even Vegeta had barely any time in Blue, Gogeta in Blue would have even less. And let's be honest, after all the build up for Broly and however long he'll spend in the movie fighting both Goku and Vegeta and Frieza, there's no way they will just let him be defeated in a few minutes by Gogeta in just Blue form. The only way they'd be able to do that is if Gogeta went one step further and achieved Ultra Instinct, which just seems unfeasible and would raise one too many questions. The likelihood is once again Gogeta may do well against Broly momentarily, but he will ultimately defuse back into Goku and Vegeta, and one of them will have to either save the day or take the L. And keeping in mind, the whole time they are fighting, Broly's power will be rising and rising following the prophecy of the legendary Super Saiyan and his infinitely increasing power. Gogeta may just serve to push Broly to the cusp of having so much power that he then fulfills the prophecy and blows up from his own power, just as the prophecy foretold. Now, if you don't remember when Vegeta said any of this or what I even mean by the prophecy, I've got a whole video on it which explains it all, and as always, I'm not going to make you go and look for it. I'll post it right here within this video, so enjoy it if you haven't seen this before. But moving on, we all know who the main protagonist of this movie is, and it is Broly. But what is significant about him now is that he is canon, a real Saiyan, and not just any Saiyan. He is the legendary Super Saiyan, with the legendary Super Saiyan transformation referred to officially as Super Saiyan Broly Full Power. What's important to remember though is that this is the second time in Super we've actually seen this form, and the first was Kale. None of this is new news, but recently in Dragon Ball Super Manga Chapter 38, we actually saw the first reveal of Kale's legendary form, who initially, just like Broly, had a berserk form with normal muscles before going to her final legendary form, just like Broly, where she's completely bulked up. Now, there is actually a lot to talk about here with regards to what happens next in the manga chapter and how it relates to Broly, so stay tuned for a further video on that. But I'm gonna skip to the main part, which hints at exactly what will be happening at the end of the movie. Right, so after Kale goes on an absolute rampage, eliminating members of her own team, Kaba refers to her as the legendary Saiyan, which Cauliflower carries on to say, the legendary Saiyan? You mean that demonic Saiyan that only shows up once every 1000 years. With Kaba then continuing, once they awaken, it's all over. Their power keeps growing and they rampage until they basically self-destruct. Now what's important here is that Kale is called the legendary Saiyan and is described by Kaba as having number 1, a fate of blowing up due to their non-stop growth and power, and number 2, appearing only once every 1000 years. So now when we look into the lore of where these two things come up in Dragon Ball, we are led to this scene, which I'm sure you all remember from the Frieza saga, and is when Vegeta talks about the legend of the original Super Saiyan, i.e. the legendary Super Saiyan. And lo and behold, this is what Prince Vegeta says.
According to legend, the last Super Saiyan could only maintain his status in the transformed state.
Now this is pretty ambiguous, as the transformed state could mean anything, as every Super Saiyan form is in fact a transformation. And since Vegeta is saying this at a time where he didn't even know there were other transformations possible, we can justify the transformed state is meaning the final legendary form seen by Broly and Kale. He carries on though.
His power was extraordinary. He had no equal in the universe. but he was too primitive to control it.
Now this is word for word what is happening to Kale here, and what we have seen also from Broly in the past, and definitely what we will see from the new Broly also once he breaks that collar around his neck. Vegeta then closes saying,
his rage burned so intensely that it eventually consumed him, and in the end, he was destroyed by his own power.
Again matching word for word with the story Cabba tells us and the fate he says awaits Kale. Now we know from the anime, Kale's legendary form was not all that, and eventually she managed to calm herself to a Super Saiyan 2 variant with the help of Cauliflower, which again still was no real match for even a Super Saiyan Blue, so definitely was just using a limited variant of the legendary form. Broly, however, is an entirely different beast, as we know, and in every sense he is the legendary Saiyan Vegeta spoke of, with no equal to himself, and we know already from various images and the trailer, Broly will eventually sell on his final transformed state, which breaks open his armor and the only form in which he can maintain his overflowing and ever-growing power. Now jump back into the reason why Cabba even mentioned self-destruction, and well, we can definitely say logically self-destruction, which isn't on purpose, much like what happened with the legend Vegeta spoke of, would be caused by just having too much power emanating from a container, i.e. a body, which just could not contain the near unlimited source of power. And this is exactly what you hear from characters like Goku when fighting Kale, saying, "You just keep getting stronger, how is this possible?" Now go back to the trailer, and what do we hear Vegeta say? He says, "How is this possible? Damn it, he's learning as he fights." Again, another way of him saying he's getting stronger as he fights. And then we see Goku in the trailer saying, "He's just getting stronger." And then go back to the manga and we see Vada's foreshadowing what is happening already in the form, saying the explosion of power is stripping her of all sense of reason. Should she lose control entirely, this tournament will be the least of our worries. The choice of words here, explosion, lose control entirely, is undoubtedly telling us something, and the very fact she says it will be a huge problem isn't trying to suggest that Kale would be able to defeat an angel or a god, but it could result in a massive explosion just like the original Saiyan, which would affect everyone at the tournament if she doesn't calm down. So clearly all of the points match together, from the lore back in Dragon Ball Z to the lore of Cabba in chapter 38 to actual verbal evidence of Broly's power increasing on, and even visual scenes where energy just shoots out of Broly, hinting at the uncontrollable nature of his ki, and it all leads to the climax that Broly, now that he is canon, will follow the canon story of the legendary Saiyan and blow up from his own power. It seems fitting not only story wise, but when we think that even in base form he has the upper hand on both Vegeta and Goku in blue, let alone his Super Saiyan Berserk form he has, and let alone his final legendary form where you just expect his power to be completely unmatched. We can say maybe Goku will re-unlock Ultra Instinct and somehow match Broly, but judging from the trailer we cannot say that will be enough, especially how the legendary form will allow Broly to basically have power-ups that go on infinitely, while Goku's UI and the power of the gods will literally damage him after a certain time limit, as we saw in the Tournament of Power. And it may indeed be after Goku loses and all is done that we get a miracle ending where Broly just cannot contain himself any longer and blows up, thus fulfilling the 1000-year prophecy of the legendary Saiyan.